My stepsister spiked my herbal tea with saffron. During my SATs, the abdominal cramps were so excruciating I had to be carried out of the exam room. Period blood had soaked half the chair. My dad was unfazed. Your sister's just a kid. My stepmother, heavily pregnant, sneered, a normal period isn't that heavy. Who knows what kind of dirty disease you've picked up? My grandma complained about the cost. An exam lands you in the hospital? You're sick all the time, wasting money. Why don't you just die already? I died from excessive blood loss. When I opened my eyes again, I was back before my stepsister drugged me. I took the spiked tea and replaced it with the chamomile my stepmother used to calm her nerves. That night, the ambulance sirens wailed outside our building for hours. In my past life, I shouldn't have died so easily. My grandma, pinching every penny, refused to let me stay at the hospital for observation. She yanked out my 4-drip and forced me, weak with anemia, to walk the 3 miles home. I've never heard of a woman dying from a goddamn period, she grumbled. Besides, your stepmom's due in 2 months. Don't you think formula and diapers cost money? Why can't you ever think about the adults? The doctor suggested prescribing some amoxicillin to prevent infection. Grandma shot him down. No need. We have some at home. Later, she gave me her own aspirin, which she took for her blood clots, and forced it down my throat. Amoxicillin aspirin. A world of difference in a single name. And it cost me my life. Worried I'd try to see a doctor again, Grandma locked my bedroom door before she left. Girls these days are so fragile, she muttered. She locked me in, and then she forgot me. The next day, my dad's company organized a team-building trip, 5 days in Hawaii. He was the boss, so he could bring family. Everyone went. Except for me. The house was empty for 5 days. My body was only discovered after a neighbor complained about the smell. My family felt no sadness, no regret, no grief, because my stepmother had gone into premature labor. The family was overjoyed to welcome a healthy baby boy. My grandma even thought holding a funeral at such a celebratory time would be bad luck. She outsourced my final arrangements to a third-party service. From beginning to end, not a single family member was present. I just couldn't understand. Why was it that after being so careful, trying so hard to please everyone, never competing with my stepsister for affection, never making things difficult for my dad, I ended up like this? I was so unwilling to accept it. I desperately wanted another chance. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the night before my SATs. This time, to hell with my father's love, my stepmother's love, my grandmother's love, I didn't want any of it. After my late-night study session, I was changing my shoes in the foyer. Is that you, Ally? My stepmother, sporting her huge belly, beat me to it and put my shoes in the cabinet for me. Sharon, watch your stomach. My dad was home, of course. He shot me a look that could kill. Ally, are you blind? Do you not have hands and feet? She's my wife. Does she need to be waiting on you? My stepmother, Sharon, was my dad's long-lost love. Less than 6 months after my mom died, he brought her home. He cherished her, doted on her, and even treated her daughter from a previous marriage like a princess. Seeing me just standing there, my dad yelled, "What are you waiting for? Go get the water." Washing my pregnant stepmother's feet and massaging them was my job. Even with my packed senior year schedule, I never missed a day. Partly it was to show I appreciated how hard my dad worked, and partly it was to keep the peace with my stepmother. Most importantly, my mom had made me promise before she died. Ally, after I'm gone, if your father brings another woman home, remember, don't cry, don't make a scene, and don't run away. Trust me, just survive until you're an adult, and everything will be okay. She left me an inheritance, enough to challenge my dad's position in his company. But I couldn't inherit it until I turned 18. I never made it to that day. I was murdered. I guess I was too stupid in my last life, too caught up in playing the part of the devoted daughter. Not anymore. My dad was waiting for me to kneel and wash his dream girl's feet. Instead, I leaned lazily against the wall. Did all the husbands in this house die off? Your wife's feet are swollen like pig's trotters, and you're making your daughter give her a massage. I mean, is a man's only contribution to making a baby that 1 second of fun? As I spoke, I made a tiny gesture with my thumb and index finger. My dad froze for a second, unable to believe what he'd just heard. Just as he was about to explode, my stepmother grabbed his arm, a tear trembling on her eyelash. Honey, don't scare the kid. Her SATs are tomorrow. Ally's been dreaming of getting into Harvard, you know. My dad scoffed. If she gets into Harvard, I'll sign this house over to her. At the mention of the house, Sharon almost lost her composure, but quickly recovered. Oh, why make a bet like that with a child? Besides, if Ally goes to Harvard, she might just settle down in Boston. She wouldn't have any use for a house here anyway. Where I settled wasn't the point. The point was she couldn't let him make that bet. Because she knew I would win. For 3 years of high school, my stepmother had a habit of only reporting the bad news. She never mentioned when I ranked in the top 3 of my class, but if I missed a single gimme question on a math test, she'd tell everyone. She never mentioned that I tore up a love letter from a local punk, but she made sure to report that he was waiting for me at the school gate every day. As a result, in my father's eyes, I was a rebellious girl with mediocre grades and a messy love life. Unexpectedly, my dad just waved his hand dismissively. Fine, then I'll buy her a place in Boston. My ears perked up. Dad, I want a 5-bedroom. Sharon's face fell. Ally, you're still young. There's no need for such a big house, is there? Sure there is, I said, counting on my fingers. 1 room for Grandma, 1 for you and Dad, 1 for my sister, 1 for the baby brother in your belly, and 1 for me. That's a perfect fit. Sharon's voice dripped with sarcasm. How thoughtful of you to include us old folks. If you ask me, a 6-bedroom would be better. 1 could be your nursery. My dad pulled her into his arms, cooing, "Don't worry, Sharon. The bet is for Harvard, not some community college. Someone like her couldn't get in, not even in her next life." I immediately whipped out a contract I had prepared and handed him a pen, afraid he'd back out. Dad, you want to sign or leave a thumbprint? I'll sign. Sharon was left completely speechless. After my shower, I realized I'd gotten my period. It was 10 days late, just in time for the SATs. I later found out that Sarah had been putting hormones in my milk. That stepsister of mine, only a year younger than me, was just as vicious as her mother. This time, I went downstairs 10 minutes earlier than in my past life. Sure enough, through the door, I heard my stepmother and her daughter plotting. That bitch Ally has been playing the innocent saint for 3 years, and I couldn't find a single fault with her. Today she finally dropped the act. Wanting a house? In her dreams. Good thing I was prepared. I heard the rustling of a plastic bag. Mom, here's the saffron you wanted. I ground it into a powder. Good. Be careful when you put it in. I have a feeling that girl, she seems a little different. Sarah laughed. No way. I put dydrogesterone tablets in Ally's drinks for half a month, and she never noticed. She was just annoyed that her period was late. My stepmother sneered. I was just going to make the little bitch fail her exams and end up at some technical school. But now, it looks like she won't even finish a single one. I got to the kitchen before Sarah. I poured out the herbal tea that was already prepared and replaced it with another cup of a similar color. It was the chamomile tea my stepmother drank every night to calm her nerves. I was betting that Sarah, the idiot, wouldn't be able to tell the difference. In the dead of night, a woman's blood-curdling scream echoed through the house. Jack, honey, my stomach, it hurt so bad. Help me, please help me. I pushed open my door to see my stepmother writhing on the sofa. A pool of red was spreading out beneath her. My dad was holding her hand, trying to soothe her. Don't be scared, Sharon. The ambulance is almost here. Our baby is going to be born healthy, I promise. I couldn't help but sneer. The difference between being loved and not loved was so damn obvious. The day my mom died, my dad said he had work and refused to come to the hospital. It was my grandpa who had to go to his office with a kitchen knife to force him to come. Seeing my stepmother growing weak from the screaming, my grandma pulled my dad aside. Save the baby. Save the baby. She had been dreaming of a grandson for decades. The ultrasound had already confirmed it was a boy. Mom, what are you saying at a time like this? Jack, think about it. You're 46 and Sharon is already 40. A few years from now, you'll still be fine, but will she be able to have another? Grandma had said the same thing to my mom countless times. My dad had always let it go in one ear and out the other. But when the subject was Sharon, he couldn't stand to hear a word of it. Mom, even if Sharon never has a child, she's the only one I'll ever love. If you want a grandson so badly, go adopt one yourself. I'll pay for it. Grandma muttered under her breath and backed away. I put on a worried expression. Aunt Sharon is bleeding so much. What if she gets an infection? The doctor said, I think amoxicillin can help with inflammation. Amoxicillin, I've got it. Grandma turned and pulled out 2 pills, trying to stuff them into my stepmother's mouth. Mom, you can't just give her random pills, my dad said, but he didn't stop her. Nonsense. I take these every day and I'm fine. It's always your woman who's so delicate. The ambulance arrived. When the paramedics saw the amount of blood, they were shocked. Is the patient's platelet count normal? What's going on? We can't even get the bleeding from the 4 puncture to stop. My dad had memorized every single one of his dream girl's test results. It's normal. Everything's normal. The paramedic asked again, what about what she's eaten? My mom didn't have dinner. She only drank some chamomile tea, Sarah blurted out. I knew this was my chance. Sarah, didn't you put something extra in Aunt Sharon's tea? There was still some red powder under Sarah's fingernails. In an instant, my stepmother's eyes widened. She'd figured it out, but all she could do was accept her bad luck. My dad stared intently at Sarah. Sarah, what did you add? Speak up. Sarah started shaking like a leaf. I don't know, Dad, I didn't mean to. The paramedic repeated, the family needs to be honest. Otherwise, if something happens. My dad slapped Sarah across the face. Are you going to talk? It's Saffron. The paramedic was stunned. You're trying to kill a pregnant woman. My dad raised his hand to hit her again. I took a step back and started to mediate. Dad, she's just a kid. Remember, Dad? That's what you said to me in my last life. He slapped her again. She's 16. What kind of kid is that? Sarah's face was swollen. It's not my fault. Grandma gave her pills too, she sobbed. Hearing this, Grandma immediately pulled out a blister pack of pills. Don't talk nonsense, mine are for inflammation. The paramedic stared. Ma'am, this is a blood thinner. My dad looked like he wanted to kill his own mother. For the first time ever, he screamed without any regard for his image. Mom, how many times have I told you not to mess with medicine? You can't just take whatever. You're old, if you die, you die. But that's your grandson in there. It was almost funny. I had been hospitalized at least 10 times for taking the wrong medicine, and the worst time, I went into anaphylactic shock. He never said a single word to my grandma about it. I'll trade my life for his. I'll give my old bones for him, all right. Grandma knelt on the floor crying. Sarah was sobbing uncontrollably. My stepmother was in too much pain to even make a sound, and my dad's shirt was soaked with sweat. Only me. I was the only one in the entire family who felt nothing. It turns out a slap only hurts when it lands on the face of someone you care about. Except for me, the whole family went to the hospital and didn't come back all night. I had a great night's sleep. The next day, I went to my exam on time. Without the saffron messing with me, I felt great. While writing my essay, I was so relaxed I could hear a background soundtrack in my head. My grades were already in the top 3 of my class. Having lived this life once before, not much time had passed, so I hadn't forgotten a thing. The answers came to me effortlessly. At 8 p.m., my dad, for the first time ever, called me. He said mother and son are both safe, but they weren't coming home just yet. The baby was premature, weighing only about 6.2 pounds, and had to be in an incubator. He was under the blue lights now, lying there soft and pink, like a little kitten. Even through the phone, I could feel the excitement in his voice. I heard my grandma in the background. Have you picked a name yet? I have, my dad said. Lang. It's the name Sharon and I picked out 20 years ago. I chuckled and hung up. I remember asking my dad as a kid what ally meant. He was busy with a meeting and impatiently pushed me away. What could it mean? It means you're the changeling that replaced the prince. So that's what it was. Too bad he thought his prince had finally arrived, not realizing this one was a changeling too. Before she died, my mom told me, your father can't have any more children. My dad started his career in real estate. One time, he was inspecting a construction site and a steel plate fell, crushing his upper thigh and knocking him unconscious. The doctors said his reproductive system was damaged. He needed surgery to either remove his vas deferens or repair it. The latter would take longer, but had a high success rate. My mom didn't hesitate for a second. Remove it. The surgery was done without my dad's knowledge. By then, my mom was already in the late stages of stomach cancer. She knew my dad had never forgotten his first love. So before she left, she did two things for me. First, she ensured I would be Jack's only child. Second, she transferred all of her shares, properties, and funds to me. She left me a business card. Ally, when you turn 18, go find Mr. Howard. My birthday is in August. Just 2 months away. Almost there. Now that the SATs were over, I couldn't use that as an excuse not to visit the hospital anymore. As I approached the maternity ward, I heard my stepmother cooing to my dad. Honey, I've already given birth to our son. Why are my feet still swollen? Should I have Mom give you a massage? Mom doesn't know how to do that kind of delicate work. But Ally's technique is really good. It's a shame she's so busy right now. The exams are over. What's she so busy with? My dad said, pulling out his phone. I'll have her get her ass over here and give you a massage. Unbelievable. They wanted me to be her postpartum nurse. A second later, my phone lit up with his call. I'm on my way, Dad, I said and hung up. Fine. I'll show you just how good my work is. When I arrived at the hospital, laden with bags, my dad was a bit shocked. Didn't I tell you to come right away? Why did you? He paused, looking behind me. A whole crowd of people had followed me in, some carrying large cameras. Bring so many cameramen? I ignored him. Facing the camera, I set down 2 bags of Pampers, 2 cans of formula, a postpartum belly band, and a stainless steel basin. Are you rolling, Mike? I can give you a side profile shot, too. We're rolling. Maybe a shot from the back now. Whatever. It was all part of the show. After the 3rd cut, my dad couldn't take it anymore and pulled me aside. Ally, what the hell are you doing? Oh, Dad, we're standing too far away. They can't pick up the audio. The next second, I switched to my best announcer's voice, 30 decibels louder. Dad, I'm here to take care of my stepmom. Don't worry, you can leave it to me. My rich voice boomed through the hospital room. Then I lowered my voice to explain. Dad, my teacher assigned us a post-SATs vlog project. We have to show it at the graduation dinner. I was in the middle of filming when you called and told me to come take care of her. I figured, why not? I can film this too. It'll make my vlog more interesting. My dad's face went from red to white and back again. If the story of daughter provides postpartum care for her stepmother got out, where would he hide his face? And it was going to be played at the graduation dinner. He couldn't even bear to think about it. My dad waved his hand, shooing them away. We don't need you. Get them out of here now. I put on a disappointed face. Oh, so not today or not ever. This is really meaningful footage. Maybe I can schedule a time when you're free? By the way, Dad, I even bought a book and learned 35 different postpartum massage techniques. I was lying. The book was actually Postpartum Care for Sows. My dad's ears were ringing. So noisy. Get out. Slam. The door closed in my face. I figured he would never, ever ask me to massage his wife again. Since I wouldn't do it, the task fell to Sarah. When my dad asked, she couldn't refuse. After all, I'd been doing it for most of my senior year. She was only a sophomore, how could she be busier than me? Besides, Sharon was her biological mother. Every time I saw Sarah's red wrists, I couldn't help but fan the flames. Wow, Sarah, your hands are so red. Dad and Sharon would be heartbroken if they saw. It's different for me. They won't even let me touch her anymore. You're the one they trust. I'm so jealous of people with useful skills. Unlike me, all I've done since the SATs is eat and sleep. As expected, after Sarah went back to her room, she smashed half a wall's worth of stuff. Damn it. Am I a maid? This dirty work used to be Ally's. Why is it my job now? Do you have any idea? My hands were shaking during my final exams today. My stepmother didn't realize that driving a wedge between a mother and daughter was much easier than between a father and daughter. It took her 3 years to make my dad hate me. It only took me 3 days to make Sarah lose her mind. The day my stepmother and brother were discharged, my grandma was sent back to the countryside. I scored a 722 on my SATs, the highest in the city. Sarah, on the other hand, only scored a 501 on her finals, dropping 200 places in her class ranking. My stepmother couldn't stand the embarrassment. In front of all our relatives and friends, she berated Sarah. She said Sarah wasn't cut out for studying and didn't know how to work harder to make up for it. She said, with such a brilliant older sister as an example, you don't even know how to ask for help. Sarah's eyes turned red and she looked utterly wronged. Aunt Sharon, you're blaming the wrong person, I said, suddenly coming to her defense. Sarah only got a 72 on her English final because she didn't finish her essay. Her hand started cramping halfway through the exam. The subtext, from giving you all those massages. As soon as I said that, Sarah's eyes seemed to get even redder. Her sense of injustice had been silent, but a little comfort and understanding brought it all out in a flood of tears. I pressed on. Ever since my brother was born, have you given Sarah even a fraction of your attention? She massaged your ankles until her own wrists were raw, just so the swelling would go down faster. Were you thinking about your daughter trying so hard to please you then? Or were you thinking about your pink, bundled up son? That hit a nerve. With a loud WAH, Sarah burst into tears right in front of all the adults. The crowd that had been cooing over the baby all rushed to comfort the older daughter. The rumor that my stepmother favored her son over her daughter started to spread. Over time, even Sarah began to believe it. After that day, Sarah gradually started siding with me. I gave her tassel earrings, a tassel headband, and a tassel necklace. Kids love shiny, dangly things. Sure enough, whenever she was taking care of the baby, he was always grabbing at them, always pulling her hair. One day, I saw a long strand of hair clutched in his tiny fist. Have you been losing hair lately? I asked, as if making a world-shattering discovery. What? She fussed with her hair in the mirror for a long time. Oh my God, I have. Sarah was obsessed with her appearance. How could she let herself be pulled bald? In a fit of rage, she started pulling her brother's hair back. My stepmother was horrified. Then she uttered the famous line that started the war between the siblings. You're the older sister. What's wrong with letting your brother have his way? That one sentence ignited all of Sarah's pent-up resentment. She grabbed the baby and stormed out to the balcony. He's the only one that's precious, right? Then you shouldn't have had me. Letting him have his way. Let's see who lets who have their way on the road to hell when we both jump. No. I was wrong, Sarah. Don't do anything reckless. My stepmother's legs were trembling. Sarah lost her privilege of being alone with her brother and grew even closer to me. You're going to Harvard, right? She asked. Yeah, why? My mom wants me to find a way to steal your student ID and password so she can change your college choice. A low blow, but I had expected it. I smiled. So why are you telling me? My mom is planning to use the money for your house to set up an education fund for her son. As Sarah spoke, she tied her hair into a ponytail with the tassel hair tie I'd given her. I thought about it all night. I'd rather you have it than him. As she moved, the hem of her shirt lifted, revealing a dark bruise, like a pinch mark. I put on a concerned look. Did your mom hit you? It's fine. She hits me, I hit her son. This girl was pretty crazy. My family threw a 1-month celebration for the baby. It was a fancy affair. Besides friends and relatives, my dad's business partners from various industries were there. Sarah told me her mom had calculated that the family currently had about $8 million in liquid assets. If she set up that education fund, my house would be gone. After schmoozing with a couple of clients, my dad was pulled aside by my stepmother. When she saw me, she shot me a triumphant look. My stepmother was planning to do a joiseau ceremony, a tradition where a baby picks from items that supposedly predict their future. On the table were gold bars, a golden abacus, and a gold medal. There was also a gold-plated certificate engraved with the words Education Fund. I had to hand it to her. I could hear her scheming all the way from my future house in Boston. Honey, look at this education fund. Just then, a number of cars pulled up to the hotel entrance. Someone holding a microphone came in, and looked around. "Excuse me, is this the celebration banquet for the city's top SAT scorer, Ally Sue?" My dad was embarrassed for a moment. He had never planned on throwing me any kind of celebration banquet. In front of the reporters, he could only force a smile. Ally's celebration will be held a week after she receives her acceptance letter. My stepmother looked displeased. The reporter asked again, "So which college does Ally plan on attending?" Before I could answer, a man shoved a business card into my hand. "Young lady, come to MIT. Full tuition waiver and a $50,000 annual scholarship." Another man wouldn't be outdone. "Ally, Harvard welcomes you. Whatever MIT is offering, we'll double it." More and more people crowded around. "Mr. Sue, you've got some good genes. Now I can say I've done business with a top scholar's father. Hiding a top scholar at home. You kept that quiet, Jack." My dad was beaming from all the praise. No one cared what the baby had grabbed during his ceremony. The cameras were all pointed at me. I shrugged. "Sorry, to the gentleman from MIT, but I have to bow down for a 5-bedroom apartment." I pulled out the bet I had made with my dad. The words on it were crystal clear. If Ally Sue successfully gets into Harvard, her father, Jack Sue, will purchase a 5-bedroom residence for her in Boston, paid in full. With so many witnesses, my dad couldn't back out. He could only agree enthusiastically, wishing he could sign the purchase contract on the spot to prove his integrity as a businessman. Suddenly, a scream came from the crowd. "Ah, Mrs. Sue has fainted." My stepmother fell gravely ill. During her recovery, she tried to negotiate with my dad. "Ally is still young. It's not too late to buy the house when she gets married. It can be her wedding gift." I shook my head. "Aunt Sharon, it takes a year to renovate and 3 years to air out. I'll be graduating and getting my diploma by then. Buying it now is perfect timing. What kind of house needs 3 years to air out?" "Meanie." My dad got tired of hearing about the house. "Sharon, it's just one house. The word is out. If I don't buy it, how can I show my face?" It was the first time I'd ever seen my dad get stern with his dream girl. "What about me and our son?" My stepmother cried. "What about you and your son? Have I made you homeless? Have I not provided for you? But the money you're spending is our joint marital property." My dad was silent for a moment, then stood up to leave. "But are we even married?" This was a sore spot for my dad. The truth was he and his long-lost love had never legally married. My stepmother's ex-husband had committed a crime and was sentenced to 20 years. The man was a total deadbeat and refused to grant a divorce. To this day, they were still legally husband and wife. Strictly speaking, my dad was the other man breaking up a marriage. Sarah had abusive tendencies. When no one was looking, she would squeeze her brother's neck, watching his face turn from white to red, then to purple. She would use her fingernails to carve words into his tender skin. She would use a needle to poke the soft spots on his skull that hadn't closed yet. I knew all about it because I had been her victim too. Eventually, my stepmother discovered the baby's injuries. For the past few days, she had been secretly looking into second child training camps. I made sure she saw them in print online. Some parents claimed that after sending their rebellious older child away to be reformed, their homes became much more peaceful. Within a few months or years, the child would return, as obedient as if they were a completely different person. They would voluntarily wash their younger siblings' clothes, cook for them, act as their horsey, never competing, never fighting, a perfect role model. My stepmother was taking the bait, little by little. I knew she was tempted. What she didn't know was that these people were the modern-day equivalent of those abusive troubled teen boot camps, the kind that used electroshock, corporal punishment, and torture to force children into submission. A place like that was exactly what Sarah deserved. 2 days later, my dad went out of town on business. A heavy rainstorm began that night. From my room, I watched as several large men in black dragged Sarah into a car. Her screams pierced through the window. My methods are disgusting? Are they as disgusting as you and that bastard Wang? Wang. In fact, I had been investigating ever since the SATs. Whose son was Leo, really? Since coming to our home, my stepmother had been the picture of virtue, rarely going out alone with other men. My dad, however, frequently sent his driver to pick her up for dates. Until one day, I went downstairs for a drink of water and saw my dad looking for hangover medicine. Dad, another candlelight dinner tonight? What candlelight dinner? He swallowed the pills. We haven't been out alone since your aunt got pregnant. In a flash, it all clicked into place. In my memory, my dad's car had appeared downstairs at least 5 times a month. Each outing lasted about 2 hours. It turned out my stepmother was hooking up with the driver. Once I pieced it all together, I couldn't help but marvel. That's bold, Mr. Wong. Driving my dad's car, earning my dad's money, sleeping with my dad's woman, and having my dad's baby. This was the very definition of hiding in plain sight. Once I had my target, getting evidence was just a matter of time. I easily obtained a strand of Mr. Wong's hair and successfully planted a camera in the car. If this got out, my dad would be in a very bad mood. I had to hurry up and get him to buy that house in Boston. At dinner, I presented my Harvard acceptance letter. Before I could even speak, my dad brought it up himself. I looked at the house you picked out. It's not far from Harvard, fully furnished, you can move right in. He placed a bank card on the table and pushed it toward me. Sign the contract as soon as you can. And don't let it go to waste. Make sure you stay there during college. My stepmother was so angry she pinched the baby in her arms. Wah. Cry, 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 that's all you know how to do. Nothing in this house is yours. My dad lost his temper, too, snatching the baby away. Sharon, why are you acting like a shrew all of a sudden? Should I not be a shrew? Should I be like your dead wife? Worked herself to the bone her whole life and got nothing in the end? My stepmother looked at me, her smile sinister. Ally, you didn't know, did you? The day before your mother died, your father and I slept together. I told him I hated the smell of sickness, so he wouldn't even go to see your mother one last time before she died. Such a pitiful woman. In fact, my mother wasn't pitiful at all. She knew everything, she didn't care, she was even looking forward to death. Because her own long-lost love was waiting for her there. My dad was just a stand-in for someone else. I wasn't fazed in the slightest. I walked right up to my stepmother, grabbed her by the hair, and forced her to look me in the eye. And what about you? Besides my dad, who else have you been sleeping with? My stepmother froze for a moment. She pushed me away, muttered you're crazy, and walked off, leaving my dad to drink alone. When I went downstairs again, he was already drunk and rambling. Ally, do you think I was wrong? Your mother was such a good person. Why didn't I cherish her? Why did I have to go looking for my dream girl? And now that I've found her, so what? I really suspect Sharon is only with me for my money. I shook my head. No, that. And also for your driver, Mr. Wong. After that day, my dad and his dream girl inexplicably started a cold war. Great. I could finally have a quiet birthday. I bought myself a cake. I ate it in front of my mom's grave while giving her an update. It's hilarious, Mom. Dad still has no idea he's shooting blanks. He's so happy about having a son in his old age. By the way, Mom, do you know who the baby's father is? Mr. Wong. Dad's driver. I got the report. When do you think I should go public with it? And Grandma, who used to blame you for not having a grandson, has been sent back to the countryside by the very woman who gave her one. Sarah, I don't think you ever met her. Never mind, she's not important. Finally, I sighed. I'm an adult now, Mom. After I finish this cake, I'm going to go open your gift. Mr. Howard was one of my mom's college classmates. After talking with him for half an hour, I was still a little dazed. Wait, Mr. Howard, are you saying my mom left me $80 million? I had him confirm it 3 times, but it was still hard to believe. 80 million. For me, that was an astronomical sum. Yes. Before she passed, your mother filed for a division of marital assets. Under her name were $5 million in liquid assets, 2 properties, and 40% of the company's shares. The properties were transferred to your name immediately, and the shares were held in trust by your father until you came of age. As for the liquid assets, I have to say, your mother had an incredible eye for investment. The stocks she entrusted to a fund manager have increased in value by more than 10-fold. After commissions, it comes out to about $80 million. I wiped the drool from my mouth. I was rich. And the best part? The house my dad and his dream girl were living in. The deed had my name on it. You were amazing, Mom. I finally understood what you meant by survive until you're an adult. It meant that right now I could pack their bags and kick them out of my house. I asked Mr. Howard to help me sell my company shares at a low price. My mom had said the real estate industry was already on a downturn, but my dad stubbornly refused to pivot. The reason was that the company's registration code included the numbers 0829, his dream girl's birthday. Coincidentally, her birthday was the day after tomorrow. With 2 days left, I had to prepare a very special birthday gift. My stepmother was probably planning to cash in on her birthday too. As soon as evening came, she was eagerly trying to lure my dad into her web. She played footsie with him under the dinner table and accidentally brushed against my leg. I expressionlessly placed a piece of spiky durian peel on my foot. She yelped in pain. It just proved that I couldn't have any illusions about my dad. After just one night of sweet talk, he was ready to give away half his fortune. Not only did he promise to buy her bags and jewelry, he also pledged to buy her son a house in a good school district after the year-end dividends were paid out. That night was the dream girl's birthday party. Before I went, I bought a little toy. As I arrived at the banquet hall, I saw my stepmother on my dad's arm, greeting guests, with Mr. Wong, the driver, helping out behind them. "Allah, you're here." My stepmother was in a good mood today, and her greeting was warm. "Is that a gift for me in your hand?" "It is. I saw it and thought it was interesting, so I bought it for you, Aunt Sharon." I opened it in front of her. It was a facial recognition time clock. I demonstrated, holding my face up to the screen. "Recognition successful." A robotic voice announced, "Beep. Universal Super Beauty Card." "Oh, how fun," my stepmother said, always eager to play along in public. "Let me try." "Beep. Long Life Birthday Girl Card." Mr. Wong laughed. His face happened to fall into the recognition frame. "Beep. Old Wong Card." "Well, look at that. It's so smart it even knows my last name is Wong." Other guests who were passing by came over to join the fun. They toasted my dad. "Jack, have you gone into the tech business?" My dad, with his arm around his dream girl, replied, "You're joking, Mr. Lee. It's just a kid's toy, something new." "Well, let us have a look." "Sure." My dad took the device from my stepmother and glanced down at it. A jarring mechanical voice suddenly sounded. "Beep. Cuckold card." The whole room went silent. Mr. Wong came over to try and smooth things over. "Beep. Old Wong card." The look on my dad's face. It was a messy cocktail of emotions. In the chaos, I saw my stepmother and Mr. Wong exchange a quick, guilty glance before looking away. Eventually, someone broke the tension, and the little incident was brushed aside. The master of ceremonies was on stage. My stepmother went up and delivered a 3,000-word speech, unabashedly professing her love for my dad, even planning out their next life together. My dad sat in the audience like a love-struck teenager, his face beet red. Finally, my stepmother said, "Jack and I have been in love for 21 years. We were apart for 15 of those, but fate brought us back together. To celebrate this, I've prepared a special video to witness our journey." The large screen lit up. And that's when the chaos really began. The video was shot in a narrow frame, clearly from the passenger seat of an Audi. My stepmother's flushed face was directly in front of the camera. The man was only visible from the back of his head, which had a bald spot on top. The guests below started to feel sick before the first course was even served. My stepmother fumbled to turn it off, but she only managed to shut down the display. The audio was still playing. "When will my son be able to call me dad?" "Call you dad? Can you even afford to raise him?" A staff member came out and finally shut off the video. My dad didn't say a word. When he stood up, he stumbled. The driver, Mr. Wong, dropped to his knees on the spot. "Mr. Su, I was wrong. It was this woman who seduced me. I can't lose this job. You're the one sponsoring my daughter's tuition. I'm begging you." My stepmother knelt down beside him. "Honey, you said it yourself when you were younger." She clung to my dad's pant leg, refusing to let go. "You said if I ever cheated by an inch, you'd move the wall an inch for me. If I cheated by a foot, you'd move it by a yard. How could you forget?" The more my dad heard, the angrier he got. "That was the kind of crap you say when you're simping for someone. You're not supposed to take it literally. Get off of me." My dad kicked them both away. The jade bracelet on Sharon's wrist hit the floor and shattered into 3 pieces. My dad stared at it, and then he started to cry. It was a Sioux family heirloom. In the 15 years my mother was married to him, he never once offered it to her. My grandma had even said my mom wasn't worthy of it because she couldn't produce a son. And now look. No grandson and no bracelet either. I casually snapped a photo and sent it to my grandma. Grandma, it looks like the Sioux family line is coming to an end. What I didn't expect was that just a few days after the birthday party, my dad and his dream girl actually got back together. It was a real eye-opener. I silently prayed to the heavens to lock this crazy couple up together and never let them back into the dating pool to terrorize other middle-aged people. That afternoon, I called a moving company and a locksmith. Right in front of Sharon, I had all their things packed up and thrown out. Ally, she shrieked from behind me. Your dad doesn't even have the heart to kick me out. Who do you think you are, throwing my things out? I held up the property deed with my name on it. Listen here, Sharon. I wouldn't bat an eye at throwing your things out. I wouldn't bat an eye at throwing you out. She went ballistic and threw herself on the floor in a starfish pose. I'm not leaving until your father gets here. I called over to the movers. You said $80 for large items and $40 for small ones. I pointed to the floor. So, does this count as a large item or a small one? Realizing I was insulting her, she screamed, "You're the cheap trash. Your whole family is cheap trash." I recorded that and called the police. With clear evidence, the police made Sharon apologize to me and pay me $500 for emotional distress. So you see, it's better not to use curse words when you're yelling at someone. After being kicked out, my dad rented a small apartment near his office. His willingness to be cuckolded made him the laughingstock of the industry. He lost a lot of business and clients. His quality of life plummeted. A few days later, the video from the birthday party finally made its way to my grandma's hometown. Someone showed it to her. When she saw the 2 pale bodies writhing together, she had a stroke on the spot and was hospitalized. The doctor said that no amount of aspirin could dissolve her century-old blood clots. My dad didn't have time to visit her. His company was in trouble. Because I sold my 40% stake to his biggest competitor for a low price, he was drowning in work, staying at the office until midnight every day. It was only a matter of time before the company went bankrupt. And I certainly wasn't going to visit her. After all, Harvard was starting soon. I had to find time to set up my 5-bedroom apartment. And I needed to post a note on the university forum. Beautifully furnished apartment, low rent, available only to attractive Harvard students. Oh, and I heard Sharon can't afford next month's payment for the second child training camp. Looks like Sarah's getting out soon.